Joining me now, Massachusetts Democratic Senator Ed Markey and Delaware Democratic Senator Coons, who serves on the Judiciary Committee. Senator Coons, first to you. This is an amazing report. Your committee has been working on it for months. I should ask, what alarmed you most about it?
Well, Andrea, this just lays out in great detail how close we were to a genuine constitutional crisis, that President Trump personally pressed and pressured and threatened the acting attorney general to endorse his false and flawed stolen election theory 9 times. And it was only because of this determined effort by a small group at the senior leadership level in the Department of Justice to insist they would resign en masse if he proceeded. That's the only thing that held Trump back from doing so. We need to work with the Department of Justice to restore the guardrails that protect the Department of Justice from political interference by any future president, and we'll continue to partner with the ongoing investigation in the House to make sure that final recommendations that come out are meaningful and actionable.
Now, with so much going on, Senator Markey, I also want to ask you about what Senator Schumer says about an agreement on the debt ceiling for a short-term extension until December. What does that really resolve? The same issue will be looming over everyone in December. At the same time, you've got to also do continuing resolution to keep the government open. So why not confront it now?
Well, we have more time to work it out on a rational basis. Obviously, the Republicans were acting irresponsibly. They were putting the full faith and credit of the United States at risk. Here, Mitch McConnell blinked. It gives us time through December to pass the bipartisan infrastructure bill. It gives us time to pass the reconciliation bill that has all of the funding in for childcare, for free community college, to deal with the climate crisis. We can get those bills passed between now and the first week of December, and then come back and resolve that issue. But time is better to have the crisis later than now, because we are still talking, obviously, for whatever his reasons were. Mitch McConnell blinked, and in the meantime, we can get the good things done for our country without this political cloud that the Republicans were seeking to place over that agenda.
And why not tie this to reconciliation?
Because they're completely unrelated. The reconciliation bills are about future spending. They're about a future vision for our country. What the debt ceiling is about is paying for the debts that we have already incurred. And by the way, largely under Republican presidents, largely under a House and Senate controlled by the Republicans, from John Boehner to Mitch McConnell to Kevin McCarthy, you name it. The litany of Republican participation in the construction of this debt is just totally populated with Republican leadership. We want to pay off those debts largely incurred by Republicans, and then separate out the reconciliation bill, which is really the Biden vision for the future.
Senator Coons, I want to ask both of you about this Civilian Climate Corps plan, which is part of the overall plan to employ young Americans in good-paying jobs combating climate change. How would this work, Senator, to both of you?
Well, Andrea, it's been great partnering with Senator Markey on this. He's been a real leader on combating climate. And this is just a part of the broader agenda for how we're going to make a lasting difference in the impact of climate here in the United States. By partnering with the 25-year-old AmeriCorps program that has 75,000 young people already serving in every state and territory and has deep experience in running effective national service programs, and adding to it a bold mission to make our country more climate ready, more climate resilient, we're going to be able to put tens of thousands of new AmeriCorps members out all over the country, whether they're combating wildfires or strengthening our wetlands and coastlines. We're going to be creating good jobs, creating a great pathway to earning a college opportunity, higher pay, and a more inclusive and diverse 21st century CCC.
And Senator Markey, do you have assurances this is going to be included in the final bill?
There is broad bipartisan support for this kind of an approach. President Biden strongly supports it. Senator Schumer has just worked so closely with Senator Coons and I to ensure that it is included. And at its core, it just goes to the question of climate justice, because this program will ultimately employ hundreds of thousands of people, 50% of which will come from communities of color. 50% of the funding will go into communities of color in order to remediate those historic environmental injustices which have affected Black, brown, immigrant communities disproportionately, and we have the strong support from the White House and from leadership that it will be included.
And finally, Senator Markey, you've been a voice in the wilderness for at least a decade, trying to get regulation on Facebook and other big tech. And as a result of the whistleblower testimony now, do you think there is bipartisan momentum for that to happen?
Yeah, first, Frances Haugen, what a hero. She has just issued a blistering, scalding indictment of Facebook activity right from its inception. So now it's time for us to pass legislation to have a children's bill of rights up to age 16 so that the parents can control the information which children are putting online and can just stop it if they want to, so that we can pass legislation to stop this pernicious marketing towards children, just taking advantage of their vulnerability because of their young age, and that we can do the kind of research we need to do to complement what we've just found out, to see what the mental health impacts are of these online social media websites have been on the children of our country. I think it's a crisis. It's time for us to have to deal with it. And I think what Frances Haugen did is going to give us the momentum to get it done this year.
And Senator Coons, as someone who knows Joe Biden so well, how's he doing? And do you think he's going to get these big deals through? Is Manchin going to compromise? Will Sinema compromise? What's going to happen?
President Biden is focused and optimistic about our chance of getting the Build Back Better agenda resolved and reconciled and moved through the Senate and the House. If we get to the end of this year and President Biden has signed into law a $1.2 trillion infrastructure package that'll create hundreds of thousands of high-skilled, high-wage jobs, and I hope, more than $2 trillion Build Back Better agenda that over the next decade will invest in big tax reform, reducing costs for working families, helping make easier challenges like healthcare costs, childcare, daycare, elder care, and confronts climate, we will have a very strong agenda to run on in the midterms at the end of next year. And President Biden should be optimistic, because I, too, and I think Senator Markey joins me, we are all optimistic that having cleared this hurdle of McConnell's obstruction on the debt ceiling, we've got a clear path towards hammering out a compromise and getting these bills to President Biden's desk.
Voices of optimism on Capitol Hill. Who knows? Senators Coons and Markey, thank you both so much. Good to see you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.